So even though the Federal Reserve Bank just increased the interest rates yet again yesterday to another 25 basis points, and the fact that it has happened 11 times in the last year, really hurting affordability, housing affordability, and causing a lot of repercussions throughout the economic and financial sector, we are seeing that the National Association of Realtors now is telling us that the housing recession is over. So we are going to figure out whether their claim is really true, and we're going to take a deeper look into all the statistics for the housing market around the country. So I'd like to bring your attention to this article titled "The Housing Recession is Over, Pending Home Sales Post First Increase Since February." And it just basically just relays the information that the National Association of Realtors telling us that the housing market might be paralyzed with the gap between bids and asks wide enough for an army of Hummers to drive through. But there, where the rare transactions is still taking place, buyers having been aggressively chasing offers as recent existing home sales and the just released pending home sales data reveal. Says that in June, pending home sales registered a modest increase of 0.3% the previous month, and the first increase since February, according to the National Association of Realtors, beating estimates of a negative 0.5% drop and following last month's 2.5% decline. They're saying that regionally, the South and West posted monthly losses, while sales in the Northeast and Midwest grew. All four U.S. regions saw year-over-year declines in transactions. So they said that the recovery has not taken place, but that the housing recession is over, said the always cheerful National Association of Realtors chief economist Lawrence Young. The presence of multiple offers implies that housing demand is not being satisfied due to lack of supply, which is true. We still have a supply constraint. Home builders are ramping up production and hiring workers. Well, I have to see, we need to dig deeper into that, because we know that there is definitely a deficit of homes being built due to not just the increasing prices of all the materials, but also there's a lot of regulations, mainly the climate-related environmental regulations that really is making that process of home building difficult, if not impossible, in a lot of areas, especially here in California. Still, when one looks at both the pending and existing home sales index, it is difficult to share Larry's enthusiasm. Also notable is the record disconnect between the existing pending transactions and new pending home sales index. A forward-looking indicator of home sales based on contract signings rose by 0.3% to 76.8 in May. Year-over-year pending transactions fell by 15.6%. An index of 100 is equal to the level of contract activity in 2001. So the National Association of Realtors forecasts that the 30-year fixed mortgage rate will hit 6.4% this year and then decline to 6% in 2024, while the unemployment rate will rise slightly to 3.7%. We know that these unemployment rates that they're telling us is not accurate. It's at least 5 times more than what they're saying, because they're not taking into consideration the people who are not looking for work, and they're not taking into consideration the people who are underemployed or are only employed part-time. With consumer price inflation calming close to the Federal Reserve's desired conditions, mortgage rates look to have topped out, Young added. Given the ongoing job additions, any meaningful decline in mortgage rates could lead to a rush of buyers later in the year and into the next. So the National Association of Realtors expects existing home sales to decrease 12.9% from 2022 to 2023. Settling at 4.38 million before climbing 15.5% to 5.06 million in 2024. So it is critical to expand supply as much as possible to widen access to home buying for Americans. Yes, again, we don't have much supply, mainly because people who have 2.5% or 3% more interest in their mortgage are not going to want to replace their home with a 6% interest rate. So that would be double their payment for the same price home. So that's one of the main reasons. And the other reason is the fact that homes are not being built right now. Home prices will be influenced by how much inventory is brought to the market. Yes. Increased home building will tame price growth, while limited construction will lead to home price appreciation, outpacing income growth. That we're already seeing. That's why 65% of Americans cannot afford to buy a home right now. Newly constructed home sales will increase from last year by 12.3% in 2023 to 720,000 due to additional inventory in the segment of the market, an increase by another 13.9% in 2024 to 820,000. The national median new home price will decrease by 1.9% this year to $449,100 and then improve by 4.2% next year. So that gives us an idea of what they're saying. I want to show you some of their stats as well. I next want to bring to your attention this economic outlook by the National Association of Realtors. And we can see the real GDP annualized rate that for the second quarter of this year has went down and has been going down since last year and is expected to go down the third quarter and then go up again on 2024, go up a little bit and then kind of maintain the same range that we have had this year. The payroll employment also we see a decline and is going to be continuing to decline throughout next year according to their forecast. Consumer prices from last year, they're showing a decline here. Consumer confidence is growing and then it's supposed to go down next year. I don't see the correlation here between consumer prices and consumer confidence. Unemployment rate, which we know is not the real unemployment rate for the reasons I told you before, is kind of maintaining the same range. Is supposed to go up next year a little bit. And then we see the rates, of course, that have went up, and the prime rate and the mortgage interest rate. Then the sales, existing home sales, that it has been going up on the second quarter. It's going to be up from last, and is supposed to keep up on the trend. So they're saying home sales are going to increase, and that's probably because there's going to be more homes available for sale. We know that we had the supply constraint for a while now, but we're going to start seeing more homes on the market. Then we see for the percent change, existing home sales and new single family, that there's 8% increase from last year. And for single family units, there has been a decrease from last year of sales, and multifamily units as well. Then we see the median home prices. They're saying that the existing home prices have increased from last quarter and from last year, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense because the other numbers we've been seeing don't really justify that. And then the existing home prices have declined this quarter in relationship to the previous quarter. So I don't see really the connection between these two, but this is the picture that they're giving us now. So let's take a look at these other statistics that they have. Next, I want to bring your attention to this pending home sales snapshot by the National Association of Realtors for the month of June, which shows that the month-to-month pending home sales increased by 0.3%. Specifically, the West saw a month-to-month decline of 1.1%, for the month of June on their pending sales. The South saw a 1.4% decline on their home pending sales, and the Midwest saw a 4.3% increase on their pending sales, and so the Northeast region by 0.6%. So we can take a look and see what makes these areas have a decline versus these areas. My guess will be, before we take a look at the fact that, of course, we have the prices on the homes in these areas, specifically, even the coastal areas, the coastal regions, and Texas and Florida, we've seen that the home prices have been really, really high. So with the affordability issues that we're seeing, it makes sense that there will be a decline on the pending sales, and the Midwest and the Northeast, their prices are a lot lower up there. And so it makes sense that we see a little bit of an increase on those areas. So let's take a look at the next chart. So in conclusion, a modest 0.3% increase in sales from previous months really should not be a reason to call the housing market to be out of the woods yet. I think there's a lot, there's a lot that remains to be seen with the Federal Reserve Bank saying that there are more hikes to come, and with uncertainty that we're seeing all across the board with the economy and the rising cost of everything, and homeowners insurance and utility bills is going to become more difficult. And with 65% of the American population not being able to afford a home, I think we're definitely not out of the woods, and not the time to be saying that we're out of the recession. So I think a lot, like I said, a lot remains to be seen. The supply is probably going to be loosening up now, as we have seen a slight increase in sales, but the values, home values, because of the increase of the rates, are probably not going to be increasing as much as we will want, or at least as much as it has been in previous years. So there are some areas that are seeing a better outcome right now than others, but overall, what we need to be focused is just the inflation and all the rising costs of living, and interest rates definitely tempering not just inflation, but affordability as well. So with that being said, I hope that you found this video useful. Please share it with your friends, give it a thumbs up. And I also wanted to remind you that whether if you are interested in relocating and need a good recommendation for a realtor in an area across the United States, please reach out to me. I'm going to put a link below. I specialize in assisting home buyers and sellers in relocation, and I can definitely put you in contact with a realtor that will meet your real estate needs. In addition to that, I can provide you with a comprehensive market analysis of the area that you're planning on relocating, so that you have a good idea of the area and the economy in that area and the real estate market in that particular area that you're planning on relocating to. So thank you very much, and hope to have you next time.